Alrighty, we're back out here on the grinder mixer, working on it. Got my hole patched and welded in here. Not pretty, but kind of hard to weld back in a hole like that to rusty metal. But anyway, I left the two studs right there so that I knew exactly where this plate here would need to be. I ordered a new one of these from Gehl because I had to torch the old one off. And then I got a new rubber gasket that goes on there also. I left them two studs, and then I drilled a hole in this plate, and I'm going to run a short little 1/4 inch. I'm going to tap it. That's 1/8 inch that I welded in there, and I'm going to, it'll probably only get about 2 threads in it, but it doesn't need much to hold it. So I'm going to run that in there. I'm going to tap it here in a minute, and then I got to weld a nut. I think the other end of that plate kind of ends right in that corner, and so I'm going to have to weld a 1/4 inch nut in there so that I can thread a bolt into that side. And then I'm not sure, I might have to scab another little piece of metal in here. I'll see what it looks like, or I might just be able to put a little silicone on it with the gasket and kind of seal it up. I don't know how it's going to fit yet. But anyway, on that I got, let's see, got a new bearing put on here, and as soon as I slide the auger through and get all that finished up, I'll have a bearing put on the back side. Yeah, so I'll get doing that. But I got one question for any of you guys anybody out there's got a Gehl 125 mix all that is watching. I went and it's got a grease zerk right here, the steel tube that runs into the bottom of the auger in the middle, and I can't figure out, you can't see crap in there, and I can't figure out what that tube goes to, whether it is greasing the top bearing on the gearbox, or somehow it greases the splines from the gearbox to the vertical up auger, which I doubt that's what it is. It did not look like there was another bearing in the bottom of the tank that the auger sits on. It looked like the auger just sits down on top of the gearbox shaft, and then there's probably some sort of a seal in there, but to keep grain from falling out the bottom. Now they had a level plug on the gearbox, but they didn't have a drain plug. So I pulled one of the bolts out of the bearing cap, and no oil ran out, and so I wasn't sure, maybe it's a grease filled gearbox or what. But if any of you guys, I went ahead and ran a little solvent down through the gearbox to clean it up a little bit, and then I took the level plug out and filled it up with 80/90. But I don't have an owner's manual for it, and if any of you guys just happen to know what the deal is with that zerk, on what it greases and what the gearbox, whether it's an oil or grease gearbox. I assume it's an oil gearbox. It is right now because I filled it up with oil, so that's how it's going to run right now. And then the scale, I couldn't get the scale to turn on, and so I mailed it to a place in Iowa, and they couldn't do anything with it because it's too old. So I got another place I called in Indiana that I'm going to mail it to, and they said they had a couple of that particular model scale head laying there. None of them worked, but they were going to see if they could piece something together for me to get me going on it. If not, I'll probably buy a new scale head, but I'm going to make sure the mixer works for what I want it to do, to grind hay and stuff, before I spend the money on that. I thought, what the heck, I'd just, price and see if I could figure out what a new scale head would cost. And that bugger wasn't cheap. $3,000 for a new scale head for that identical monitor. A lot more than I paid for the whole mixer. I wonder if I didn't get that drilled big enough. Don't think I did. just waller it out just a little bit here, because I think next size drill bit I got is going to be too big. Luckily, this one has a 5-pin harness for the way pins that go out here, the axles, and so it's easier to find a monitor that hooks up to it, as opposed to just having the older 4-pin style. I was told that it's hard to match them up. You pretty much just got to replace the whole system. Now we're getting somewhere. Just be using a T-handle here so you get an even pull on the tap and don't snap the tap off, but not a real ideal tapping situation here. That's good enough. There we go. Yeah, I get about 2 threads in there. Well, I'll get this all put together here and come back to you when I shove the auger through and put the bearing on. Alrighty, I'm putting load shaft seals in that, and I filled it up with oil, waiting to see if it drips before I put the hitch on, so I figured to work on this. Got it in here, painted it. Doesn't fit quite like I would like it to. This is kind of a poor design. I thought they probably could have come up with something better than this, but they didn't. Just had that oval shaped piece of rubber there that bolts in, and it don't fit tight at all, really. There's a little bit of gap there, and I don't know how that's going to be. I'm just going to have to try it and see how bad it leaks, as to if I need to redo it, which it really can't change a whole lot, because I left these 2 studs so that everything would be positioned the exact same as it was originally, and then the shaft's all rusty and it's almost out of round. It's so rusty, but I don't know. We're just gonna have to try it and see. I don't know, the way it throws the grain in here, it might completely avoid that altogether, or it might really be trying to pack it in there, so I just don't know. We're just gonna have to try it. There's a plate here that I cut off that just ran right there, and then there's another shield I got laying over there that bolts onto here, and I don't know if that thing, if it, it fills up with feed and then it just, stays put. I don't really know. I don't know. So anyway, go up here and bolt the front bearing in, then I'll put the lock collar on back there and bolt the back bearing in. Put greasable bearings in it this time, so hopefully it won't give me any trouble ever again. Of course, I'm not going to run that much feed through it. That's pretty bad. Get a couple less rusty nuts. Yeah, it's kind of rusty too. Sounds better. Long 3/8 bolts. These are probably almost 2 feet long. And they're an actual 3/8 bolt, got a hex head on them and everything, not ready rod. Clean the threads up on them and they run. I'm at reach under there and figure out where it needs to go. Stuff out of my pocket. Ow. Right up so I don't hit my head again. There's a hydraulic pump and the belt what runs down here to run everything. Yep. Well, and just right there. There we go. Once I drop the lock wire, there it is. Hey, I just realized I forgot to grab the oil filter for this thing when I was in town. Dang it. Have to run back over to town and get that. Well, I'll tighten that up, and then this deal slides on there like that, and it's got this bolt that's actually a shear bolt, which it obviously didn't shear. It goes in the slot there, and yeah, that's how that works. And then this nut here goes on the end with the just to hold it on. If I need nut, that one's kind of buggered up. But anyway, come back to you in a bit. We're getting closer on it here. Got this number 60 HD chain on there. I had to replace that little idler and straighten that bracket. And then the gonna grease it, change the hydraulic oil, and there's a little door on the bottom of the tank that's missing. I gotta make one of those. Then it should be ready to go, other than the scale. So I don't have too much deal left to it. Maybe today's Friday, maybe tomorrow afternoon if I get that going, I'll use that to run this for a little bit, check for leaks on that, and try this out. So yep, this is a pusher draw bolt there. That thing actually pushes the bearing that way, and then this one pulls the bearing this way on this shaft that runs through there, and that's how you tighten the big belt up. And they want, it told you here, or tells you on the sticker, they want 60 push down, roughly 60 pounds for the belt, and you want 3/8 belt deflection. So pretty tight. That 60 pounds is just kind of guessing, but I set it back to about what it was when I took it apart. So probably have to tighten it again after it runs a little while and gets the rust knocked off of it. But that'll be it here for part 2, so thanks for watching.